Firstly, I want to say thank you so much for taking the time to either watch or listen to my first interview podcast. I am so excited to hear from as many women as possible. I believe that sharing each other's stories, we empower each other, we learn quicker, and I'm so excited for this journey. The first person to join me is my friend and business consultant, Charlotte Drake. I am so grateful that she was the first person to have faith in this idea. I enjoyed speaking to her so much. I really hope you enjoy this interview as much as I enjoyed talking to Charlotte.
Here we go.
Here we go. Okay, Charlotte, I had this idea that I wanted to record the amazing women that I photograph on a daily basis, because so many of them have such inspiring stories. And I'm always talking about female founders and follow them on Instagram, but I wanted to extend that into a space where I can actually share their stories, and I'm so passionate about that. So thank you.
Thank you. Thanks
for having a go at this. We've been recording your course today, so we've just had a morning of recording, which I have loved and actually learnt so much. I did. And so I want my audience to know, who is Charlotte Drake?
So, I'm Charlotte Drake. Had the pleasure of being with you here today. I'm a business consultant, and people are normally like, oh, what is a business consultant, or what's the difference between a business consultant and, do you know what I'm going to say?
Yeah, a coach, because I get it wrong.
What's the difference between a consultant and a coach? And a coach typically is all about mindset, but not always. But the main difference is actually that consultants work with data. So we solve business problems using data. So we look at your specific business and all the unique features to you and your business, and solve problems using that. So it's very, consultative, hence the business consultant.
Okay.
Coach.
Which I've worked with you last year, and it was amazing, and made me question my own business and where it's at. So I know how valuable your services are, but I also know that you've had quite a journey having the business model that you have today. So tell us about that journey.
Okay, so I will tell you the business model. So that is, I really care about sustainability, and I look at growth and scalability, but within a context of balance and sustainable growth. But you're asking me about the journey. So
I'm asking you about the journey because a lot of my audience are women. Some are women in business, some are juggling kids, some have had health issues, like myself. And I believe that your story is quite inspiring. And I think that people will find your journey, some will find it relatable. So I would love for you to tell me about it.
Okay, so I think you're talking about the turning point for me.
Yes.
Because I used to run my own business, and I was a single parent in business. I ran a marketing consultancy. I did brand freelance work as well. So that's where I was at. I was a single parent, so I was really juggling.
That's hard.
And I guess like you, I look young. You know, people often think that I'm younger than I am, which I know you experience as well as us petite ladies. So I think I had something to prove. People thought I was a young mum, but they thought I was an even younger single mum. And so I had something to prove. I was very much about work ethic, perfectionism. I had something to prove. Which lots of people, you know, like will work and really want to achieve things. Achievement was important to me, but it came at a great cost.
Burnout.
So it wasn't burnout, and I think
burnout?
Typically people think it's going to be burnout, right?
So correct me.
Okay, so you're talking about when I nearly died. And And that was in 2020, so in the middle of a pandemic. And people are like, oh gosh, so your mental health was at a really bad place, or you were burning out. But it was actually much more dramatic than that. So start of 2020, I was up for partnership. I was working actually for a scale up. I was in charge of growth, so scaling the company from sort of small size to a global entity. And our biggest clients were in America and Russia. So I had something to prove. I was also going to get married, and I did, but COVID happened. And what we found out retrospectively is that I caught COVID very early on.
Oh, wow.
And it triggered what they didn't really know at the time was an autoimmune response within my body. And essentially loads of my organs became involved and complicated. And in September, I was in a hospital bed pleading with them to take me seriously, and they were saying, oh, it's period pain. I was like, I'm not on my period. This is not period pain. Eventually they did a scan and they found that my small intestine had completely malrotated, which it kills you. Like, that was, I had a malrotated intestine, and I nearly died. And it was the trauma I experienced in the context of a hospital, during the pandemic, so this was second wave, when you weren't experiencing the care that you should because the hospital was completely overstretched, and something terrifying happening. I was so ill. I was in so much pain, was horrendous. And thankfully that was treated, but I was then in and out of the hospital for basically a year. I had markers, so my inflammation markers were in the cancer range. They found like a mass in my small intestine. It was just, everything was going wrong with my body. I had inflammation in the muscles around my heart. It was terrible.
I didn't know, like, to that extent.
Yeah,
I didn't.
It wasn't.
Oh my gosh, that was not burnout.
It wasn't
I'm
burnout.
sorry.
But I do believe that it was the kind of lifestyle that I was living wasn't, it wasn't conducive to wellness. Like, how could I be well when I was just pushing myself, pushing? It just wasn't conducive. But I took myself from that level, with inflammation levels in the cancer range, to I now have no inflammation. And last year in May, I was told I'm in deep remission. Thank you. But it was a journey, and I had Western medicine, but also lots of alternative medicine that helped me get to a point of wellness. And so a lot of healing, which I'm really blessed to have had. But I realized in that time when I was going back to work that I had to find a more sustainable approach to getting the results that I used to, because I couldn't work for endless hours, and I thought there had to be a better way, and that's how I came up with my framework, which is a proprietary approach to business. It looks at the essentials of business and how to grow in a more sustainable way. So that's...
I didn't know your story to that extent. I really didn't. I think you don't actually... I've heard bits of the story, but not the whole story.
Yeah.
And that's quite incredible. Like, that is
a lot.
quite a journey. And I guess that trauma kind of lives within you. I know that because I've had health anxiety and multiple issues with my health because of work. I am also an overachiever. You would understand this. So we work to the point where we burn out. I said that in a... yours wasn't burnout. But...
It doesn't help, does it?
No. So, you work, but it's at a detriment to your health.
That's
and
right.
I know that now. So I try and approach work in a much more leveled way. And I do reach out to people like yourself, consultants and coaches and various people that will help assist me, because you can't do it all by yourself. You can't.
That's true.
And many women, I think, struggle in business because we're wearing so many hats. We're a parent. We want to have a nice house. We want to look good. We want to be a successful. How is that sustainable? It's not. And I think that's why I'm so passionate about speaking to normal people, their normal stories, because what we look at, celebrities, isn't real, and it's not attainable for the majority of the population. And this is why these conversations are so important to me. So tell me, who is your ideal client? What are you hoping to achieve with this new course that's coming out? Tell me more about what's coming in 2025 for you.
So for me, actually things do change, and I think it's really important to be aware of what your priorities are and your goals. I talk about goals in context, like what is your personal context, what's achievable based upon your personal situation and your priorities, right? So we're both mothers, we've got children, and a priority for me is being around for my children at certain times. So opportunities may come up where I can, I could grab them and go after the money, or, go after the kind of status and the job titles or whatever. But at the end of the day, my priority is my children, and that is at cost of other things. You can't do everything. But yeah, so I do have various opportunities that I am following, which is exciting, as well as very small businesses or solopreneurs like yourself. I also work with scale-ups and startups who are funding backed, and I really love that side of the work that I do, because I'm learning so much, and often they're in spaces that maybe I haven't worked in that market before. But yeah, there's a lot happening. It's exciting, so that's great. Clarity First, so that's my course.
Tell us about it.
So this is my proprietary approach to sustainable growth. It takes you through 6 modules. It's multidisciplinary. It's not just marketing, it's brand and business essentials. So everything from looking at your value proposition and how you communicate your value to your audience, to ensuring that all your services work like as an ecosystem. So we cover lots of the essentials, but it's in a group cohort to make it really accessible in terms of pricing, but it's consultative. So I take you through and adapt each module depending on your goals in your context for your business. The next one is in February. It may be my only one of 2025. We will see. At the moment, there's 2 spaces left, but we'll see.
That's amazing. So you haven't even released it and you've practically sold it out.
I have released it.
You have released it? Sorry.
That's all right. I have released it.
Maybe on these calls I should do some research.
That's fine.
But we're keeping it real, guys. We're keeping it real. That's amazing. And I know that the content is amazing because I've recorded it. So I'm super excited. Thank you for being my first guest.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for... Shouldn't tap my mic like that.
I know, I touched mine.
Thank you for just having a go with me today.
Thank you. Thank you.
I really hope you enjoyed that. Some of the takeaways from that interview are, if you are a mum like me, like Charlotte, and are trying to juggle it all, then maybe something needs to give. It's really important that you prioritise your health. Think about ways that you can sleep a little longer, enjoy good food, try and plan ahead so that your health is always prioritised. If you haven't got your health, you haven't got anything. On that note, I just wanted to say thank you again for watching, and I'll catch up with you in the next one.